Alright, so I'm going to change the serpentine and the AC belt. And I want to talk about how to get this fan out. This fan doesn't have any screws or bolts. All it has is this little nib right here. And that goes into a little bracket, locking bracket. You're going to need a big ass screwdriver to release it and then pull this out. And then on this side, this one's broken, but there's usually a lock here. It locks like that, so you can't pull it out. So you have to go in there and boom, do that. Then you can pull it out. Now when you pull it out, you gotta make sure that these guys, they have hoses connected. Disconnect the hoses, boom, boom, boom. And also this big ass hose thing here. So you pull it out, and you're pulling it out, and you'll notice that these protrudes out. So the hose, there's hoses on top that this will need to clear. So you'll have to do, pull it out and push the hose out of the way so you can pull it out. But it comes out pretty easy. And before you can even get to the fan, of course, you got to take the bracing stick out. And that bracing stick goes here, across here. So this is a 13 mil, and again, you whatever bolts you take out, you stick them right back into the original spot so you don't get confused. Now we've got, pretty good visual access. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna memorize the belt looping first. Then I am going to take both belts off. Alright, in order to take that main serpentine belt off, you got to take off this cover, and you got to take this guy, loosen this guy up so you can have access to the alternator pulley. Then when you release the pressure, you'll have room to take the belt off and reinstall it. So this is a 11mm deep socket. I'm just going to take this off and move it to the side. Alright, so what I did here, instead of trying to memorize the pulley pattern, is I put in yellow tape on the edges where the inside ridges of the belt would be. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. So there's only 3 spots, as the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. And let's see, this is the main central core hub. And that has the inside of it, but right behind this main serpentine belt is the AC belt. In order to take that out, that arrow, first of all, you want to turn that arrow towards the driver's side, right? And then you take the bolts off, and then you want to turn that arrow to the passenger side, and you see that little slot, the pulley, this slot right here. Once you turn this arrow to the passenger side, it'll slip, boom, and then it'll loosen enough that you can take this serpentine belt out, this AC belt out. So don't be using like a broomstick and shit like that, like some of these shade tree mechanics, because you are stretching that belt, and the more you stretch it, the shorter life it's going to have. So you want to optimize, doing all this work, you want to optimize the life of that belt. So anyways, I'm going to turn this to the driver's side, take the bolts off, then I'm going to do a 27mm here. This is a 27mm bolt, and I'm probably going to have to use a breaker bar or something super long with leverage, because I didn't take the spark plugs out to release the compression. But anyways, after I take the bolts out, I'm going to turn that arrow to the passenger side, and it should snap, click, and then I should be able to take the belt off. So for now, I'm going to use a 60mm here, Torx 60 Torx. Push it that way, and it should release the pressure enough so I can take this first belt off. All right. So I've got a 1/2 inch with a teeny tiny extension and 27mm. So what I'm going to do, there you go, pretty tight. and I'm going to turn that, but I'm going to need a cheater bar, right? There we go. I think that's good enough. Now I'm going to undo those 12mm Torx bolts and then turn it the opposite way, and it should snap. Now those bolts are out, those Torx bolts are out. I'm going to turn this until it snaps. There you go. Alright. Needs to be loosened more, as you can see. That arrow is not all the way, it needs to be all the way. Alright, let's try it now. Maybe it'll move some more. Yep, that did it.
Actually, they were sharp.
Alright, so now we are going to try to tighten this, turn that back to the driver's side. There we go. Hear that big ass click. And then we keep going. There we go. That should do it. Let's double check. There we go. See how it's pointing that way? And it's clicked here, so now these holes are now flush. All you gotta do is put the E12s back in. And they should effortlessly go on. And screw them on by hand and torque them down. I tell you, this is super awkward to be filming. You don't have a crew. I usually work with crews and stuff. Multiple hands to help out. But anyways, you get the point. I'm going to torque these down. Then put the big ass belt back. Alrighty, so it was pretty uneventful. I put the 60mm E-Torx in here. Twisted it that way and then put the belt on first. When you put this main belt on, you want to put the alternator on first, the alternator pulley on first, like the belt on here. Then you can snake everything here, and then what you want to do is you want to leave this guy, this idler pulley, off so that you can, you know, snake it all around. And then when you turn the E-Torx there, this pulley, you can push the belt back on. As for these E12 bolts, I torqued them down. Couldn't find specs, but I torqued them down 35 Newton meters, and they felt just right. I probably would not torque them down more than 35 millimeters. Now I gotta put everything back, and should run great. All right. Got these back on, got this bar back on, put in all the hoses and cables, and we're good. I gotta change this fan. It's all broken and shit. So anyways, that's a future project. Remember to subscribe.